Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at eTrailer. Today we have our Inno Roof Rack here on our 2016 Subaru Forester. We're going to talk about some of its features, some of the reasons why I like it a lot, and I'll also show you how to get it installed onto your Forester. And if you're curious about different options for roof racks available for your vehicle, we'll talk about that too. If one of my friends was to ask me for a recommendation for a roof rack for their Forester, this is probably the first one that I would recommend, but depending on what your priorities are for your vehicle, that may change some things too. When it comes to versatility, this is usually my go-to because, in my opinion, it looks stylish, but it also works great, and it's a tool-free install with lock cores included. Now, if you have other accessories that you want to use with your roof rack, let's say you have some Yakima or Thule accessories and you want everything key to like, this is not going to provide that benefit for you. But in all other situations, this is still a solid choice. Inno does have different options for your Forester though. You can get the flush version where it sits a little closer to the roof and is a bit more of an OEM style. I like the through feet where it sits a little bit further out, because then you get the shiny end cap and you get a little bit of overhang. If I measured for an overhang, which is from the tower to right before the end cap, this is about 2.5 inches. So if I had something that had a strap that secured around the end, that means my accessories sit a little bit further to the end of the vehicle, making it easier to load and unload. However, it does sit a little bit further out, so it may not be as sleek as your other options. So it just depends on what your priority is. And since you have raised rails on your Forester, that means you can put this pretty much anywhere on those raised rails. So since this is secured by a strap, once you have it loose, you can slide it around for as much or as little crossbar spread as you may need. What is crossbar spread? Well, that's measured from one crossbar to another, usually center to center. I have mine set at around 27 inches apart. That's because I like the spot it is between the doors up front and the seam in the back, but also that measurement will work for most roof boxes, roof baskets, ski and snowboard carriers, things like that. If you find that your accessory requires a very specific crossbar spread, that's okay. You can adjust as needed. For maximum crossbar spread, we can get it as far as about 41 or even maybe 42 inches apart for those extra large loads. The next measurement is going to be roof clearances. Your Inno Roof Rack is going to sit a little bit closer to the roof compared to some other options, but you still have plenty of space. If you measure from the top of your roof to the bottom of the crossbar, you can see it's about 3.5 inches of space there. That depends on where you measure because your roof does curve a little bit, but that's still plenty of clearance for different clamps. Even U-bolts with wing nuts are going to be very likely to be perfectly fine on this roof. Your next measurement though is going to be your height added. So again, from the roof, this time to the top of the crossbar, I see about 4 3/4 inches of height. Again, a lot of space. So imagine you're carrying on skis with extra tall bindings. You would make sure that those bindings don't scratch up your glass roof. And if you find you need a little bit more height, well, we have plenty of ski and snowboard carriers here at eTrailer that will give you that extra clearance if needed. Up above, you see we have our Inno Aero Crossbars. These are going to be aerodynamic bars. They have a rubber strip on the inside so that if you don't have anything mounted on there, they're very sleek and they don't have much noise. But you can also mount things on the inside of those tracks, because these rubber strips will push down. And that way, if you want to fully utilize your crossbar, even in spots where the tower is, that's going to be fine. I prefer that option because then I get to utilize the full crossbar space. Now, the tower underneath is also pretty cool. So this is what's giving you that base system and that support to your crossbar. You're going to have locks on each end cap, which will add to that security. And once you remove that end cap, you'll see this lever here. And that's going to be it. There's no bolts, there's no tools that you need to tighten down with. It's just this lever that secures the whole system. What that lever does is it pulls on this strap that goes around your raised rail. That's another good feature. So this strap is actually a metal strap with a rubber sleeve. I like towers that have that function or that design because for me it makes it feel like it has all around support. Other types of towers clamp around the rails and those work really well too when you have it tightened down, but this just gives me a little bit of extra security. So all in all, you've got a lot of good support for even those heavier items. While you really can't go wrong with an Inno Roof Rack, it really does depend too on what your priority is. For some people that are only going to need a roof rack maybe a couple times a year at most, and they're only carrying lighter things like a surfboard or a paddleboard, then I would recommend something like the Malone Airflow 2. That's going to be an easy to install roof rack. It's not as sturdy as an Inno Roof Rack, but it has all the important features there and is perfectly fine, especially at that entry-level price point. Or if you have, let's say, Yakima accessories and you want to make sure all your things are in that ecosystem so that everything is keyed alike, you may want to check out the Yakima Roof Rack. That has the very similar strap design for its clamps to give you that fit around your rails, plus it has extra touch points to really keep things secure. So it does depend on what you're planning on carrying and how often you're carrying it. But for pretty much most situations, this is going to be a great option for you. Plus, it's super duper easy to install. So if you're curious about that process, let's go take a look. For installing your roof rack, it is super simple. In fact, there isn't really any pieces or brackets you need to get lined up. I already installed the rear one. We'll install the front one together. So first take a look at your towers and then take a look at your crossbar. What you want to do is just flip the crossbar over so that you can see the track underneath. Now, notice here on our track, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it all the way towards the inside of the crossbar. I'm going to press down on this button here and I'm going to continue sliding over, and then I'm going to grab our tower. Notice the bottom of the tower, we have this one tab here and this larger series of tabs over here. That's going to fit into that track, and then you just slide it out like that and it's secure. Super duper fast. So compared to other brands where you may have to like attach little blocks or line things up, it really is just put the tower in, slide it out, and now you're ready to put this onto your roof. This will be a little bit easier if you have a second person to go catch the other tower, but it's totally doable all by yourself as long as you go slowly and gently. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring our tower up and onto the roof, making sure it's facing the right way. Notice how we have the taller part of the crossbar facing forward and the tapered end facing back. I'm now going to fit this around our raised rails. That looks really good. Then I'm going to go to this side and do the same. Now, we don't have to have it perfect just yet. We just need to get into the general direction. So some things to look out for is you want to make sure that your tower is on the same spot on the rail on both sides. For the front one, I like to line it up with the seam between the doors. And then I bring the strap around the raised rail and then into the tabs. Go ahead and push your tower up against the rail and then get the strap in there. And once you've done that on both sides, you can then start tightening down, but do not go too far just yet. You'll want to double check that you have the same amount of length of crossbar on each side before you really tighten down. That's how you know it'll be pretty even on your roof. Now, I already did that, so I'm going to continue securing the roof rack, but I do have a special tip. If possible, try to tighten it down evenly on both sides. Like I might tighten it down halfway on one side, hop to the other, and tighten that down 75%. And just going back and forth just makes it where you're not pulling the whole system one way to the other. You're also going to want to keep tightening it down until that strap is fully flush against your rail. With both sides secure, your final step is then to get your end cap and put that onto your tower. You're gonna go ahead and turn the key to secure the end caps. The good news is that each end cap has its own metal lock core, and you get 2 keys that match them. You don't have to purchase other locks separately like you may have to do for other same key system brands. What I do when I'm finished installing is I give both crossbars a good old shake just to make sure that everything is secure. But now I'm ready to load this up with cargo, whether it's a box or a tent or other accessories, and now you can hit the road. Something else too is, since you do have 2 keys, maybe try to put one in your glove box, one on your key ring, and that's really all you need in terms of tools or things to install or uninstall your roof rack. Today we saw the installation of our Inno Roof Rack with the 51-inch long Aero Crossbars and the Inno through feet for raised rails here on our 2016 Subaru Forester. If you're curious about this or any of the other size differences, whether it's the 47-inch version or the flush version, you can find them here on our website. But hopefully this video helped you out with seeing how it fit on your Forester. My name is Evangeline, and I hope you enjoyed this journey.